Ever stop to think about what's really happening inside the mind of a machine? You know, how your phone just knows it's you, or how a self-driving car can navigate a crazy busy street? Well, the answer to all of that is one of the most powerful forces shaping our world today.
So, stick with me for the next few minutes. We're going to pull back the curtain on this incredible technology. We're going to break down what artificial intelligence really is, how it actually learns, and why it matters so much to all of us right now.
All right, so let's start at the very beginning. The whole idea of AI, it's not exactly new. For centuries, we've been dreaming about creating machines that can think. Well, that old dream, it's now our very complex reality.
So what are we really talking about here? When you boil it all down, AI is the science of teaching computers to do the things that our own minds do so well. Things like reasoning, learning new things, and solving puzzles. It's really less about magic and way more about meticulous, carefully engineered intelligence.
And how do we engineer that intelligence? Well, we focus on these four crucial abilities. We build machines that can perceive the world around them, that can reason and make sense of what they see, that can learn from that information, and, this is the most important part, that can adapt their actions based on what they've learned.
Okay, but that learning part, that is the absolute key to everything. So how does a machine go from being a blank slate to a powerhouse that can solve problems? It all comes down to two fundamental building blocks.
The whole process really just needs two things. First, you've got data. Think of this as the raw ingredients, all the images, text, and numbers you can possibly imagine. Then you have the algorithm, and that's your recipe. It's the set of instructions telling the AI exactly how to use those ingredients to get a result, like recognizing a face or figuring out a trend. This brings us right to the engine of modern AI, machine learning. And this is where things get really fascinating. See, instead of programming a computer for every single little thing, we just let the algorithm learn for itself by finding patterns in all that data. It just keeps getting smarter and more accurate with every new piece of information it sees.
Now, machine learning isn't just one single method. Oh no, it's more like a whole toolbox of different approaches. AIs can learn in a few really distinct ways, and they've evolved from just following simple rules to forming these incredibly complex, almost brain-like structures.
First up is what we call supervised learning. This is probably the most common type. It's where you give the AI a gigantic data set where everything is already labeled. Think a million photos of cats, and every single one has a label that says cat. It's basically like giving the AI a test, but you're also giving it the answer key.
But what happens when you don't have an answer key? Well, that's unsupervised learning. You just hand the AI a huge, messy pile of data and say, go figure it out. It has to find all the hidden patterns and connections on its own. It's kind of like a detective showing up to a crime scene with no clues. It might end up discovering things we never even thought to look for.
And then there's the third type, reinforcement learning. And this one is all about trial and error. Imagine an AI learning to play a video game. Every time it makes a good move, it gets a point, a reward. And for bad moves, it gets a penalty. After playing millions of times, it doesn't just learn the rules. It starts discovering incredible strategies that a human player might never even think of.
All of these methods bring us to the real powerhouse of today's AI, deep learning. This is what's behind everything from instant language translation to those amazing AI-generated images. It uses these things called neural networks, which, get this, are inspired by the very structure of our own brains. By using tons of layers of these networks, that's why it's called deep, it can spot incredibly subtle and complex patterns in just massive amounts of data.
Okay, so that's the theory. But why does any of this actually matter to you? Because AI isn't some far-off futuristic idea anymore. It is here, right now, and it is actively shaping our world in pretty much every industry you can think of.
I mean, just take a look at this. In healthcare, AI is helping doctors find diseases earlier and more accurately than ever. In transportation, it's the brains behind self-driving cars. In finance, it's what stops fraud in its tracks in milliseconds. And in manufacturing, it's running entire assembly lines. And honestly, this is just scratching the surface.
So what's next? Where do we go from here? As we look to the future, we have to be honest. This incredible technology brings with it both immense potential, for sure, but also some really significant challenges that we have to navigate, and we have to do it carefully.
You know the old saying, right? With great power comes great responsibility. And that has never been more true than it is right now with AI. As we build these systems to be more and more capable, we have a massive duty to think about the ethics and safety. So, what are the biggest hurdles we're facing?
Well, for starters, there's bias. If the data you feed an AI is biased, then guess what? The AI's decisions are going to be biased too. Then there's what's called the black box problem, where sometimes even the people who made the AI don't fully understand how it reached a certain conclusion. And beyond that, we're talking about huge questions about jobs, our privacy, and the monumental challenge of trying to program ethics into a machine.
But here's the most important thing to take away from all this. The goal isn't to replace humans, it's to augment us. We should think of AI less like a simple tool and more like a partner that can crunch through mountains of data and handle repetitive tasks, freeing us up to focus on the things we do best, like being creative, thinking critically, and connecting with each other.
Ultimately, the path forward isn't just about the technology. It's about our humanity. The future's going to be intelligent. That's pretty much a guarantee. But the values and the ethics that guide that future, that's still up to us. So the real question isn't what AI is going to do, it's what we're going to choose to do with it.